John.
And we are here to talk about an awesome book called Build Your Empire. But first, we are going to announce the winner of the book from last week, which was Never Split the Difference. And through the calculation of a, what do you call it? Name scramble?
Yes, name scrambler. No.
Yeah.
Name picker.
Name picker?
Name picker outer.
Okay, got it. Peter Petropoulos was the one that won the book, so please contact us through Facebook or Instagram that what form of the book you would like us to send to you.
Good. So this week, we actually forgot to announce it last week, but this week we're doing a book by Elena Cardone, and it's called How to Build Your Empire.
Yes.
And Elena is the wife of Grant Cardone, who is somebody that I follow a lot. He's a successful entrepreneur and CEO of a company, and now actually owns a $1.5 billion of real estate. So somebody that I followed for quite some time, and then his wife Elena, came out with a book just about a year ago, I think now. So kind of tell us what your thoughts are when you read it and what you learned about her.
Yes. So you came back from the 10X Growth Conference saying that Elena had spoke to everybody and she just seemed different than the average. It was more, when she talked more about a team, and you were thinking that is what, well, it's what I needed. Maybe you probably knew that, but you didn't want to be like, here, you need this.
It was some very thin ice when I had to introduce this book to you. Yeah.
So I was like, sure. I wanted to listen to it. I was just at the beginning of getting to start to listen to business books. So I was excited to listen to Elena's. And for instance, I married an entrepreneur, and no one could have warned me for this life. But Elena, who is also married to an entrepreneur, and being able to read this book helped me understand my entrepreneur's mind. So for me, it was like a turning point in my marriage, in my life. So I'm so thankful that you got that book for me.
So the title is How to Build an Empire. What does she mean by that? And if you could kind of sum that up, maybe, what does she mean by building an empire?
Yes, your empire is you, the queen and the king, and you have your subjects, and you have your courts, and you it's the people you have around you. It's your like your home.
So I'm going to treat this almost like an interview style, because I feel like, now I've listened to the book at least 2 times now, and I got a lot out of it, but I really am interested in hearing your perspective on a lot of it. So I might just keep asking you questions, and I just enjoy listening to you, so maybe that's why too. So Elena talks about, if we back up before she met Grant, she talks about how she was, who she was, where she lived, and I think LA, right? And she wanted to
grew up in New Orleans.
Grew up in New Orleans,
but
but moved to LA,
yes.
And wanted to be an actor and was an actress, right? And talk to us about the list that she came up with, right?
Yes. So she had given up on ever marrying anybody, and she had a friend that said, you need to write a list of everything that you want that man to be. And she did. She created this long list. She said over 100 things.
Yeah. And then the interesting part is she said she realized when she was doing that she really needed to do the opposite, yes, right? Yeah. And what was she talking about there?
Yeah, that it like cuts you deep, because
right.
We're like, yes, I want this list of the perfect man for me, but then she thought, well, you know what? If this man is really out there, then he probably has a list for me. So she wrote a list of what that man would want in a wife. And like for us, how we can apply this, and she had an exercise, was what can I bring to my empire, our empire, and write all along lists. What can you bring to your empire? And showing each other's lists, not to be like you're failing in this area, right. No, like to grow and to create a strong empire. Yeah.
And I think that leads into so she talks about their whole dating process and everything, which is a really fun story. But if you take that, you transition those lists, and you really can go into what she talks about later in the book is roles. And maybe spend a minute about that. What does she talk about roles in the empire that we're building, right? How important are the roles? And
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I mean, it's so important to know your role so you don't butt heads with other people. But I just love her list of like what a queen should be.
yeah,
And like it's the strongest, the toughest, the smartest, most disciplined person in the empire, and it keeps going. It kind of makes you think like, oh man, I'm like, Elena, why are you hitting me there? So, but as she was going through this list, she put that the queen is the king's equal. And I want to, stop. And when I listened to that, I was like, well, like, I did not feel like I was your equal.
yeah,
I felt like what you did was high up there, business, entrepreneur mind, and that was out of reach because I didn't understand. And I thought my life, my issues, my problems were, just weren't even a part of you. So that was an eye opener to me. And I remember talking to you about that. Do you remember that?
yeah. Well, I don't know specifically. Maybe you're talking about something real specific. But I remember that's really why I came back and wanted to go through the book and wanted you to read it, because it was one of the first times that I had heard, um, you know, a public figure, a lady, get up and talk about how it is your equal and it is not a big movement that one is better than the other or not. It's, you're on level playing fields, and really into that it's 100%, 100%. We used to hear a lot growing up, and I understand the reasoning behind it, but it led me, I think, down a wrong thought process that marriage is a partnership and marriage is 50-50. You bring this much and I bring this much, and I think I understand what people were trying to accomplish there. But when I heard Elena talk about, no, this is like 100%, 100%, I was like, man, that really resonated with me. And because it's true, and it even in my own life, sure, I do business stuff all the time, every day. But if you ask me what's more important, you know, it's my children at home and caring for them, and that is so important to me. And it's not a 50-50, and that's what was important to me.
Yeah, that's good. That makes me think of another story that she says in her book about how a Clydesdale can carry 8,000 pounds on its own. And if you hook that Clydesdale up to another one, together two can pull 24,000 pounds, 3 times the amount that one can do. So when we're together and we're tied up together and we have the goal in mind, we can do it. We can do 3 times the amount, 10x times the amount.
Right.
But if you think about it, say you got your 8,000 pounds, I got my 8,000 pounds, and we're going opposite directions. We're going nowhere.
Yeah.
And I think we could say we lived that for like 7 years of our marriage. And it really shows how you really have to be on the same page.
And I think that's something we're even still just getting to experience, some of that oneness of what happens when you actually, it's not a competition between work and home. This is our entire empire. And when you get the entire empire on the same page and you're going in the same direction, you get that effect of the Clydesdale, and you can go so much farther, you can pull so much more, and it just feels better. It feels like you're not fighting, you're not competing. I mean,
it's a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing, I don't know if you wrote it down or not, one other thing I thought she was really good in the book is she talked about find out your spouse's purpose. And she talked about, and I'll let you talk about the quitting part in a minute, but she talked about how important it is to just really get to know your spouse and what's important to them. What's their goal, what's their purpose, and how you can help them facilitate that, right? But so many times talks about the other side of it, right, where we just end up quitting. What does she kind of say about that?
Yes, and like how she wrote it down was so good. It's like if you let your partner quit on their dreams, they will quit on everything, including yourself. Yeah. So Oh, so good to hear this from me because that is something that I struggled with your dreams. Because him being an entrepreneur, he would come home with this crazy idea of anything and everything, and I would be like, John, that's crazy. That's not gonna happen. When are
And
you gonna
then
have
it would be the
time?
notorious, that's so good. Like, I don't know what it was, that pat on the back
Yeah,
or
like,
pat on the head. That's a great
John, you
idea.
have such good
Yeah,
ideas.
was like, okay.
So, so for me, when I became in that situation again after listening to this and having that in the back of my mind, like I cannot let this man quit on his dreams. So when you told me a little idea, like a little dream, I'd be like, that's really cool, babe. Like, what can we do to make this happen? Can I be a part of it? And maybe there's something in the back of my mind that says this is not gonna happen, but now I just gave all that support to you, and you're going into work the next day knowing that you have the confidence of your wife behind you.
Yeah.
Or the opposite, I just let I have a wife at home that doesn't believe in my dreams. And
Which as a man was important to read about even, and if you're a guy listening, like I would still really recommend you read this book because it helps you understand too, that it isn't a competition between home and stuff and but yeah, when your spouse is on board with your ideas, what it does for me personally is usually it just helps me get to the this is not going to work faster, because a lot of times if I'm told something's not going to work, I want to figure out a way to try and make it work, even if there's no profit or nothing good in it. I'm going to try and do that. But it's a lot easier when I have the support, or you ask me a certain question, and I'm like, "You're right. I didn't think about that. This will never work," which happens. But you're right. That support has been huge. So one other thing that is probably unpopular for her to say in the book is she talks about um, running to her friends, or Grant even running. She even talked about Grant going to one of his friends and talking about her. But talking about how when we have an issue, going to somebody else immediately and saying, "Can you believe what she did?" And what does she kind of say about that? That airing of your dirty laundry.
yes, so like, say you and your spouse are having an argument, and you just gotta run to your girlfriends and say like, how crazy is this guy? Like I have it so rough with this man. He's nuts, and then your girlfriends are all behind you, like, yes, he's crazy. And then you get home, and you and your spouse, you settle that dispute or whatever, and everything's back to normal and maybe even stronger. And then you go back to your girlfriends and be like, oh, it's okay, love him again. And then they're like, no, remember when you said this? You have it bad, girl. And so then you're like, you're right, he did think that. And then it rekindles all those feelings that shouldn't really even been out there to your girlfriends.
Yeah.
But
And she just lightly talks about you just go directly
yeah,
to your spouse. If there's an issue, just take it to them. Because most of the time it's something that we can work out. Every time it's something we can work out. But the damage that can come by going to other people first, and potentially our other spouse hearing it and hearing their jaded view of they don't really know the situation.
yeah. And unfortunately, I could really relate to that. That is something I have done in my past. I felt like because I wasn't connected with you and your business, I felt like I was on a different world, maybe. That whenever there was an issue, I would talk to somebody else, and and so I've seen how that just doesn't go the right way.
And it was kind of like when we brought all the worlds in together, or we brought it all into the empire. It made a lot of the things that were really hard, that normally are easy to go to somebody else, it made it a lot easier to talk about between us. Because now it wasn't this, if I got to tell you what happened at work today, I got to tell you this. And if I got to tell you this is what happened 6 months ago to get me here. And there's not this huge, monstrous mental barrier to get through. It's like, no, she's up to date on what's going on. And it's just a quick conversation of, this is why I reacted wrong at home, because this and this happened today. You know about this, and it kind of blew up, whatever it was, right?
And that was something that really changed before I listened to Elena's book. Like, I really had no idea what was going on in your business. I was not up to date on anything. I would ask, how's work? You'd say, good. And I was like, good, we're done. That's it. I feel so much closer to you now because I listen to what's happening in your day-to-day stuff, and it is so cool to be able to understand, or maybe cool is not the right word, but like it is so much better for our relationship. Like you just said, when you're having a rough day, I know why he's having a rough day, and I don't have to be like, why? Why, John? Talk to me about it.
Right.
Doesn't help.
Yeah. So one other thing she highlights in the book, and really she takes it on her responsibility a lot too, is the people that are in your empire, you know, and really it's something that we've been learning a lot about, just your mental health and that part of it. But she talks about how, and they went through a big thing during the crash where some people that were their friends ended up coming after them and suing them. But she talks about how important it is to know everybody who's in your empire and make sure they're the right people that you would want there. Make sure they're people that are lifting you up. Make sure they're people that are making you better, pushing you to be better, positive people. And she talks about how, Elena talks about how in the home, she really bears a lot of that responsibility. And she knows who's coming into the home. She plans certain things, certain people to come into the home because she knows her husband Grant and what he needs at a certain time. But just it was a really good reminder of be careful who you bring into your life. There's a lot of people that I really, really enjoy doing life with. And then everybody's experienced somebody who's just been a negative impact on their life. And it's a really hard balance because you want to help people, but you can't help people if you don't have a positive state of mind. And if your mental health isn't in the right place, you won't be able to help anybody. You definitely won't be able to help yourself, and you definitely won't be able to help other people around you. And that was something I really appreciated that she does, you know, in the home and really protects what's going on in the home.
Mhm. Which I feel like that goes on to this one chapter. It says holds the fort. Like you're going to be gone on trips or something for work, and you know you're going to miss dinners. You're going to miss the birthday if you're there, and I want you to know that when you're gone, I'm not like, oh, sorry, girls, Daddy's not here again. Like, no, like when you're gone, I'm going to be there to push you up. Say, like, your daddy's out there to, you know, because he loves you and he wants to support this family. And, like, you're a superhero, you know, and just fully support you. And then, and, have the whole and have the girls know that the girls need to know that we're all in this together. This empire stands for each other.
And I've seen that. I mean, even Grace now, like, she wants to come to work. You know, work isn't a bad place. She asked to come to work with me, and it might seem like something that's very small, especially, you know, maybe through the wife's eyes. But as a man, when our job is to be away from the home, you know, I think a misnomer a lot of times is that it's out of state, out of mind, you know, that we're just not thinking about it. But I mean, I can't speak for every man, but I know what drives most men to go to work is the people in their home. And so to know that my wife is home supporting me and doesn't feel like this is a competition, you like being at work more, don't you? You know, and I don't have to come home to that has been amazing. And I get more done at work. I actually come home earlier most of the time. And it's just been really good for us. And I've seen it affect even our girls, our oldest is 3.5 right now. But work isn't a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a good thing. And I can already see that she's picking up on that.
Yeah, and you just said something like, you know, you're able to come home sooner. So like that was something a year ago that really affected me. And whenever you would come home late, I would be very upset because I would think like when you say that, you almost sound joking, like oh, you'd rather be at work than me. No, like I really thought that,
Yeah.
and I showed it. Like I showed you how much I thought you wanted to be gone from home. But then switching back to pushing you in your dreams, I started pushing you to work, saying like, babe, go out there and kill it. You know, you've got this, babe. And then I wasn't really doing it for this purpose, but you started coming home sooner, and I spend more time with you now, and as like, that was just amazing because I didn't know that would happen, but it could just goes to show when I started changing, when I started growing, there was changes in you and growth in you, and it's just,
Okay, so a couple tools you wanted to leave with, right? Go over
yeah,
some of those tools that Elena
really
wraps up.
quickly.
I know you wanted to do all of them, but just give us like 3 or
So
4 right now.
So there's 14 of them, so I keep this short. These are tools that Elena says that you need to have in your toolbox, and they all don't cost anything. So one thing is commitment, like how committed are you to your cause? Purpose, why are you doing this? Um, if your why, she says this, if your why is like your North Star, always keep an eye on that star. If you don't, then you're going to wander and then you lost why, your purpose. Sacrifices, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up in order to have the empire you deserve? And laughter. I kind of like the laughter one because when everything is really tense, sometimes you just need to laugh. And it's laughter, it's not like the crazy, stupid fun. It's just simple laughing, trying to get you to laugh about something. And what I like to do, and I just started doing this out of nowhere, is I started writing down writing out in my phone the silly things Grace says. She's 3 years old, so they're endless. And so whenever like we're on date night and you're talking about a very stressful week, I will add in a couple silly things that Grace says, and it just creates laughter. And it's so good to have that. I want you to enjoy to be with me. I don't want it to be so tense that you don't want to come home. I want there to be laughter. I want you to just want to be with me.
So it was a really good book. I think it was really good for our relationship. Helped us understand each other a little bit more, and maybe it's not as applicable. Maybe it's more applicable because we have more in common with them. I don't know, but I definitely think it was some good insight on even just the man and wife and the roles that each one play
Yeah.
in each other. So
Yeah, I know. Like I could relate with Elena being the wife of an entrepreneur, but I do believe this book would be good for any married couple. Very good.
So we would recommend it very highly. We'll do the same thing if you comment on the YouTube channel, or I know it's giving some people a little bit trouble. It's a little tricky on your mobile device, so that's fine. If you just comment on either Joe's page or my page after we share it, we'll count those and include those in as well, because it is a little bit tricky on that mobile YouTube version. So we are doing Garden City. So really interesting title. Not even going to say any more about it other than that, but it's a really good read. So excited to go about that. And I think it's important for families, really. So yeah, next week is Garden City, and we'll see you there.